You still host, Jamie?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first edition of the Shit Show. I am blessed to be I am blessed to be co-hosting with three amazing women, Jamie, Amber, Morgan, and I'm Scott, and I'm pretty pumped up for this whole experience. This is supposed to be a Facebook Live video, but as per the name, The Shit Show, we couldn't figure it out on day one, so we'll be live on our next episode. So I'm going to go around the room and introduce everybody, so make sure, Jamie, you got to turn your mic on so you can talk on a moment's notice. Come on, get it together. It's not like we're running a shit show here. And introductions. I love this part. This is my favorite part. She is not the wrestling move known as armbar that her great uncle perfected in wrestling. She is actually Ambar Ramirez, and she is probably somewhere other than where she's supposed to be in Venezuela. Amber, where are you today?
I am a city called Segur in Spain.
In Spain. Okay,
Yes.
so you're not in Russia anymore. They let you out. That's cool.
Yeah, they let me out. So actually, I was blessed with that. Yes.
All right. And nobody puts me in team like Morgan Ekovich, owner of Get Fit with Me. Not me, but Morgan Ekovich. Morgan, and not only are you a personal fitness coach, but you have quite the entrepreneurial spirit yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Probably the list of what I don't do is shorter than the list of what I do. And I just said do. Um,
Love
It's
it.
the shit show.
so anything from project management to helping people launch a podcast to helping people become more organized to food prepping to anything in between. So like I said, the list goes on. And I don't talk about very much of it often, but I've got my hands in a lot of things.
Well, speaking of doo-doo and dad jokes, this is my favorite part probably as the intros because I get to use some of the best puns ever. Like, I know a lot of comedians that love to use props, and her husband is one of them. That would be Jamie Props' husband. And she is the host with the most dead fish, of course, co-owner of Anglers Unlimited, Jamie Props. Good to see you, girl.
Good to see you too. Good to be here.
It is. I don't know what we really expect to accomplish with this other than, you know what? I think I have Miller Lite. That's okay. I think, it's an opportunity for us to all bring something to the table. We all have different perspectives. I'm going to stop doing as much talking, hopefully. And I think we all collectively want to do this because there's a lot of value that we get out of talking to each other. And how do we include more people in that conversation? And there's a lot of these shows, I think, online, but oftentimes they talk about fluff or politics or stupid shit that doesn't matter. So, folks, I think our goal here, ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, let's talk about real shit that really matters to real people.
Amen to that.
I love it.
And who are you?
Yeah.
I'm Scott.
And what do you do?
And what do you do?
I do a number of things. I work in agriculture in two regards. I have a real career in the dairy sector and animal health. I own a small business called Maplewood Sweets. So I'm a maple syrup farmer, I guess you could say. So if you don't know that maple syrup comes from a tree, I'm not going to tell you that you're dumb or anything like that, because what I have recently learned is that 90% of the US, 306 million people in this country, have never had real maple syrup. And that bothers me. And I am a husband and dad of two, almost three. So,
Yay.
yeah. And yeah, podcast host, Jamie, you host a podcast, Morgan hosts a podcast, and Amber is making her podcast debut today. So I love it.
Yes. Finally.
So what do you ladies want to talk about today? Yeah.
Great question.
Great question. It's that awkward moment of, all right, where does this first string of conversation go and who's going to take the lead?
I feel
Who
like,
hasn't?
Scott, when we were going back and forth in voice memos before this, that you had some good ideas about just entrepreneurship in general. So maybe just shoot off one of those things and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways we could go with that. And, I've talked to all of you at some point about hosting my own podcast and talking about entrepreneurship and the empowering nature of entrepreneurship. Man, and I'm just going to share this quick little tidbit. My brother-in-law, I hired full-time in November to work for us at Maplewood Suites. He has never been in agriculture. He's never worked for a small business entrepreneur like myself. He was a corrections officer for umpteen years, worked other jobs, whatever. A few weeks ago, he told somebody, and I happened to be with an earshot, since he made the move in November to jump into agriculture and work for his brother-in-law, and actually he said with, which I really appreciated, it changed his life. So I'd like to go around the room because you all are small business owners, just like myself. Morgan, I'll start with you. How has it changed your life?
So I think you guys would know this because I remember talking about it years ago. I almost failed an entrepreneurship class in college. Like literally almost failed. Went to the teacher and was like, "Is there any way you can give me extra credit? Like I'm failing this class." Entrepreneurship 101. Didn't have any interest. I was like,
That's awesome.
"Why the fuck would anybody want to do this with their life? This sounds terrible." So fast forward, I was laid off and kind of forced into entrepreneurship. I've always been that person who's got multiple jobs where like even though I had a W-2, I was still nannying on the side or I was still doing side work. So I guess that was entrepreneurship, but I didn't realize it, having those little side gigs. But I was kind of pushed into starting my own business during COVID when I was laid off at 25. It's crazy. It was 5 years ago now. Wow. And then when the gym
You're only
reopened,
30?
I'm not even 30 yet. I turned 30
Oh,
this
shit.
fall.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just
It's all
sorry.
good. Amber and I were vibing on some Disney Channel earlier. I was
Yeah,
like,
Scott, you
"Who
and I
has
are the
Disney Channel?"
elders in the room.
Yes. I'm the baby of the group.
Yeah, Amber's younger than me, so I'm no longer the baby. um, But when the gym took me back, I realized that I didn't really want to go back to working for someone else. Also, at the pay in which I had, once I got a taste of what being paid the full amount was that I was charging my clients rather than a percentage, which I get when there's a percentage, there's a cost they are covering. So I kind of realized what I liked, what I didn't like, and I moved into my business full time, and I would never go back. Like there's times where I'm like, "Ooh, maybe I'll join a gym and I'll work a few hours just for the gym membership or just for the perks of like working for somebody else, like those little employee perks." But I'm like, "No." It would be something like a coffee shop would be fun in my opinion. But like I don't want to do my career as working for somebody else anymore. Uh it's awesome.
That brings me to a point before we keep going around the horn. I had a friend of mine, his name is John. We were just at his place last night for dinner, and good friends of our family. They have young kids. It's great. Everybody gets along. John had worked for me one season at Maplewood Suites, and it was wonderful because he's an entrepreneur himself. Like he gets it. He's not afraid to put in the hours during the season when we need to. And I asked him last year, "Hey, John, you going to come back and work?" He's like, "I don't want to offend you at all. Like you paid me well. It was a great wage, but I am not going to get ahead by working for the hour or by the hour." It's so true. And Morgan, you had how many jobs? How many different jobs at the same time trying to make ends meet? Folks, does this sound common to you? Yeah.
I've also always heard that your income should reflect how your investments are. So you never invest just in Apple. You're investing a little bit in multiple areas. So the way your income comes in should also look the same way. So I think that's kind of where I can't get rid of a job. Like I can't get rid of nannying or I can't get rid of online. I'm always doing 100 things because that's kind of ingrained in my brain. Um, which I guess I was an entrepreneur at an early age, even though I almost failed class. I passed. Don't worry, I passed with like a C plus, barely, but I passed.
I think the key
Uh,
though is you got to do what makes you happy. There are definitely
oh
people that
yeah.
work a full-time career and are happy with that stable, consistent, and or maybe their job is really entrepreneurial. You can be an entrepreneur in a company. Scott, you know that.
Mhm.
You work for a company that actually cultivates that level of skill in you. And I've been lucky enough to be part of that world as well. And so I definitely, the one thing about you, Morgan, though, is you love the variety. I see you do all these
Yeah.
things. I think you just told me yesterday you have a whole new offer for somebody. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And you're excited to do it. And I think that's really cool. As long as you follow your heart and follow where it leads you. And I think it'll tell you when something feels off, there's a reason. And when something feels exciting and you can't wait till Monday and you want to dig in and start working now, there's a reason. I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship is you get to follow those breadcrumbs because no one's telling you which is right and which is wrong.
So speaking of that
That's
breadcrumbs, Jamie, where did you start? Because I found you from a YouTube video of you standing like this. Is where I found you.
Oh my gosh. I went through some of my old social media and it's highly entertaining to watch your progress. None of these skills are natural. It's so, I find that also very entertaining when people are like, oh, you're just so natural at it. I'm like, no, it's called
it's
reps.
10,000 hours.
Yeah.
It's the
You
10,000
should
hour rule,
see my
Jamie.
first videos.
Yeah, it's crazy. But my entrepreneurial journey started in 4th grade. I got a leather tooling kit. I don't know if you know what that is, but like little leather things that it came with like a hammer and different
Mhm.
letters. And so I'd go to the kids and be like, hey, what's your initials? And I'd put their initials on this little keychain and I'd sell it to them for $1.50. And then eventually the recess teachers shut my business down because it was not allowed to have financial transactions during school time. But that was really where I've always also, like you, Morgan, had a side gig. Even when I worked for All West Lexires, I bought and sold saddles because I was a horse girl. So I found this brand that I love and I'd find them all over the country. I'd buy them, I'd clean them up. And when FedEx came to pick up for All West, I had my little label on there and we'd ship them out to customers. So yeah, I've always been entrepreneurial. It's fun. I think the game of helping somebody, but also making a return for yourself there's something really gratifying about that experience. Yeah, so now we teach fishing. Scott and I, my husband, we met in a fishing club, had a passion for fishing that actually led me out of my career. I had an opportunity to work at a fishing lodge in Alaska, took the leap to do it, and through a few different breadcrumbs along the way, what we do as a company is we teach people to saltwater fish. So out here in Anacortes, Washington, Puget Sound, Salish Sea, San Juan Islands, ling cod, halibut, salmon fishing. We do shrimping and crabbing, and people buy a boat. They get all excited about the industry and they don't have a clue how to actually do the fishing part, which is exactly who I was 10 years ago. And so I created what I wish I had when I started fishing. But again, it's like that, right? Every single thing that we do, we are solving a problem that we once had ourselves, and then we create a business out of it. So I'd love to know Amber's take on this too. Like, how did you end up where you are?
Actually, it's funny hearing you say that you started in 4th grade. I think
Yeah.
mine started some like over that time, my time as well. My sister and I, we used to do accessories, handmade accessories like earrings and necklaces and stuff like this. So we started selling them at school. And then we actually sell a whole bunch of stuff, like so many different things. Ice cream, I think we also clothes. I mean, I don't know how we actually ended up like that, but
I love it.
Yeah, we wanted to have like our own money, so we were like, okay, we should do something. And we used to study in an all girls school, so we had a lot of, for all for the girls. So it was perfect because I think actually we sold makeup at some point. I mean, we were so young, and I really don't know why or how we had our little business there. So after that, I was also kind of like, okay, I like having my own money. I don't have to wait for
Mhm.
my parents to give me anything anymore.
Mhm.
So that's actually nice. And then, well, when I moved to another city to study in university, I was just finding side gigs as well. Just
Mm.
Spanish came later on. And yeah, after that, COVID hit. And that's when my business grew because everything was online. And it was actually better for me. I'm an introvert. I like being inside. I like doing things, in quiet places. I don't like going to offices as much. I did it, but I'm not a fan. So staying home is like perfect for me. And then, yeah, I started doing virtual assistance services as well. And that's where I'm at right now. But it's funny, like remembering all these little roads that I have taken over the last 14 years or something since I started selling things. It's just, yeah, it's weird. But it's fun. And I think it's been like a road for self-confidence for me. I'm, like I said,
Mhm.
too
Mm.
introvert. Like I'm very shy unless I find, my sweet spot where I find people that are like trustworthy and stuff like that. And then I'm like, okay, I can be a bit more of myself. I can share more things. And yeah, that actually led me to be a bit more confident in myself because I was like, I had too many doubts. Like, okay, if I say this like this, is it the wrong way? People will take it badly. Like they will like it. They won't like it. Will they want to be my friends anymore? Or something like that. So like doing this also gave me the like push to say like, okay, if they don't want to be my friends, that's okay. I
Mhm.
can do things on my own as well. I actually did that when I was there in Venezuela before coming here. And I was like, okay, I can go to restaurants by myself. I can do this and I can do that. I don't need anyone like all the time to be with me to do all of these things. So this road to be like by myself doing things on my own, yeah, I do like to have friends. I love going out too, but I'm more happy being at home and just doing things on my own. So, yeah, this business has taught me a lot of things, and I've learned a lot of things about myself as well.
Wow, there's so much you hit on right there, especially from like the self-doubt thing, right? Of like, if I do this, are people gonna like it, not like it?
Yeah.
And like I really felt like that was just something that you actually grow into, like because it's like the grumpy old man thing. It seems like when people get old, like they get 60 and they're just like, I don't give a shit anymore, so I don't care what anybody thinks of me. And I think we're all probably kidding ourselves if we were to look at each other in the eyes and say, we don't care at all what anybody thinks of us. But certainly there's a point, and I think the entrepreneur journey has helped that to where you realize that at the end of the day, I have to take care of myself, right? You have to take care of you first, and then you can start taking care of other people. And one of my first steps, Amber, of taking care of myself was realizing that it doesn't freaking matter what that person thinks. If they think badly of something I said or something I did, right, it's probably a them problem.
Mhm.
Exactly. That's what my end thinking, started to go to. And I was like, okay, but if they think this way, that's fine. There's people that I don't like either. I don't like how they think. I don't like
Mhm.
what they say. I don't like how they behave. So, and that's fine too. That I don't need to be friends with all the people, and I don't need everyone to be my friends or to hang out with them or stuff like that. So, I think it is confidence things to say no when I really want to say no, or yes when I really want to say yes. It's
Mhm.
something that doing like this entrepreneurship path has led me to actually learn and to accept, because I remember the moments where I wanted to say no. I was like, no, but this is like, it's not worth it. It's just, and then I was like, but I should do it because then they will say that I'm this and I'm that and da da da. No, now I'm trying to be more like obviously kinder to myself and to all Ambar, because she didn't know. And I'm like, she was still very young. She was very inexperienced with many things, like little child, like she doesn't know. So, like, yeah, remembering that this is a path that we're going to keep walking until we die. I mean, there are many things that I don't know, many things that I still have to experience. So, being kind to myself during this process has also been like key to me.
It's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the whole Mike and I are two very different people. I say something, it goes on. I don't ever think about it again unless it's really something that I realize I should have bit my tongue on. He says something, he will overthink it. He'll ask me questions like, did I say that? Like, he has these thoughts. And it is just crazy to think that we tend to be with somebody who has a different way of thinking and being with us. And I'm just like, really? I kind of forgot you even said that. Like, my brain just processes so quickly now that, like I said, until something has been like, oh shit, I really shouldn't have said that. Or if I think if it's like still coming up a few days later, then I go back and I readdress it or I get it complete. But for the most part, like, I don't have the energy to overthink what people may be thinking about me anymore. Like, I don't have the bandwidth for it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I should slow down and give more time and energy. But like, no, there's so much shit to be done. And me overthinking this one thing is not going to move any needle forward. It's not. It's just going to drain that needle. So I've learned that, and I think that has changed for me throughout the last couple of years. I've done Landmark, which also was really helpful in reading like personal development books, but like all of that kind of getting out of your own head and out of your own way has been really nice to be like, oops, said that, sounded wrong. Okay. Like, they know who I am as a person. They know my character. They know that if I did something once, it's not who I am. It's like picking up your golf ball on accident when it like bounced out of the hole instead of going in. Like, you're just moving forward.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a gimmier. Okay, so random golf story. Do you guys play golf? And like when the ball is close, it's like, oh, that's a gimme. Like, that's good.
No, it's not a gimme. You have to hit it in.
Okay, well, when you play 18 holes and you're playing in like 90-degree Florida weather,
What's
like
a one little
moving
tap?
forward.
Just tap it in.
Okay, so no, we play gimmies around here. But I used to think that the gimme was I didn't have to count the extra stroke. So if I had 6 and like the 7th stroke was a gimme, I'd be like, I got a 6. I played like that for like a year until Mike told me like, no, you got to count that. I'm like, oh, my bad. You're just telling me it would have gone in and I don't have to hit it. Got it. I just didn't count the stroke. But like sometimes we make mistakes. We do things just like without paying attention, but that's not that those type of things don't identify who we are. They're not part of who we are. They're just a thing that had happened sporadically.
I honestly think entrepreneurship is one of the fastest personal development programs you can take. It'll teach you so much about yourself. Like, you'll run into those challenges where you took the gimme stroke, and I can't use that analogy. I don't know how to connect the dots clearly. But no, I really do think like you learn where your weaknesses are internally. You also have a lot of things coming at you that will push the work. We all have things that we need to work on. We all have experiences from our past that are layered into our being, right? And we react to situations because of conditions of life. And I think entrepreneurship naturally pokes those buttons. And I love, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love how fast I have to learn in this job to get over myself. And it's hard. It's a daily practice. Scott, sounds like something resonated with you there.
It just everything. You're exactly right about it. Like, it tests everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your financial toughness, your financial wherewithal, your mental toughness, your persistency, your willingness to be all in on something and never give up. Yeah. It's so what was it like for each of you getting started financially?
I was very
Answer
fortunate.
the question. Oh, so go ahead.
I was going to say I was fortunate. So I was in COVID times and I was getting paid unemployment, really decent unemployment. I was getting those stipend checks and we were like just paying our expenses. So I started mine in a very fortunate time when there was money coming in while I was trying to grow a business. That wasn't my money, essentially. So I was lucky in that sense. And I don't think any of you guys were kind of in that boat when you started.
No,
What's
Jamie,
yours,
what were you going to
Scott?
say?
I want to know your answer to that question.
Maybe I just picked a bad area to get started in, because my first business I started, Zare's Auction Service. I mean, it took almost no overhead. I did on-site auctions. I mean, it was very little input costs, and I was 21 years old. I mean, I didn't have any money back then anyway. I mean, I was making $1,000 a month. I wasn't going to be able to, use that money. So thank God I was able to do it on the cheap. But Maplewood Suites, I mean, this is a pretty capital intensive to get started kind of thing. I mean, machinery prices are 6 figures and more for certain parts of the business. And yeah, early on, I went to lenders. And it's like, you go to the bank and you're like, yeah, here's my business idea. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's the projections. And they're like, no. So, as owners, there's 2 other owners in the business, but I'm 62%. So I've put in a lot of my own money that I make from my real job. And then this year I got floored again. I mean, so some of the stuff that you think, okay, we were almost cash flow positive this year in 2024, like within a few $1,000s, and sitting on $700,000 in assets that are not very leveraged. And you're like, okay, I have assets that I can use for collateral. We should be able to get a loan to do this. And they won't even talk to you because you don't have like monthly cash flow, and it's a seasonal business. So the cash flow is also seasonal. And it was a real eye opener for me. It was a struggle. Yeah. Yeah. 2024 was probably the biggest struggle financially that we've had. My wife and I, since the first year we were married 10 years ago.
What did you learn from that experience? What did it teach you?
At the end of the day, you just got to figure it out. Like you got to figure out how you have to keep going. Whether I had 2 co-owners or not, I have 2 co-owners and a full-time employee that rely on me. And we rely on each other. So, but as the principal owner, I just took it upon myself and said, okay, like there's got to be a path forward. We just have to find it. And we found some temporary paths forward, which has been great. But long term, I think it's going to be a long road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, we're not trying to just sell maple syrup to our neighbor. I want to figure out how to get it to Jamie in Washington and Amber and whatever country she's in. So yeah, it taught me that, number one, if banks love loaning money to people that don't really need a loan.
Yep. We get their phone calls all the time.
It's almost like they're almost as bad as credit card companies. If your credit score right now, you're listening to this, your credit score is like 750, which I think is pretty good. I don't know the scale all that well. You're probably getting pre-screened credit card offers from every freaking agency all the time, right?
Yeah.
I tell you what, start a business and use your credit cards to cash flow some stuff sometime and watch that credit utilization line go up and then your credit score go down to like 680. They stop coming. They don't come anymore. And as soon as my credit popped back up this year, it's just back up to like, 730, 740. And it's like every week there's like 3 new offers. And I'm like, you jerks, go pound salt.
So Jamie,
Yeah,
how about you?
Yeah.
That's a hard gig, like when you have high level of overhead. And I think that's one side of entrepreneurship I don't quite have the same understanding of that you go through, Scott. Other than from what I hear and how, especially in the agriculture industry, like you have to wear all the hats like any entrepreneur, and you're managing like massive assets and people and the pressure of trying to have a great harvest in order to sell and do well that season, which is not guaranteed because it's natural. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I don't know why I have maple syrup in my blood, but I do. So that's what it is.
I feel like there's
It's
a joke
fun.
there somehow.
Okay. So here's the joke. Here's the joke about maple syrup. People don't believe me you know what? At some point I'll bring up my 23andMe and prove it. But I did a 23andMe a couple years ago. And so you get
Google
all
it
these
if you don't know what that is.
Yes, if you don't know what it is. Come out from under the rock that you've been living under and Google it. So 23andMe, I did the swab, and they send you like genetic reports of, like maybe you have weird genetic diseases or something like that. I am a carrier for maple syrup urine disease.
What is that?
That sounds made up.
Yeah.
That's what my wife said. She
I'm gonna
doesn't
be
believe anything
honest.
that I tell her. But so if you look up maple syrup urine disease, and I promise I'm not Amish, but it's actually my doctor says it's pretty prevalent in the Amish communities.
Huh.
But maple syrup urine
Fascinating.
disease, if mother and father are a carrier, the offspring are not able to process a certain protein. And so babies can die from it.
Wow. Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
Yeah, maple syrup urine disease. I'm a carrier. So that's my joke. I'm the maple guy and I actually have maple syrup urine disease. Or I'm a carrier. So
You literally have it in your blood. So
it's in my DNA.
It's funny. For me,
Um,
I think I specifically chose an industry with low overhead. Well, I say that, and now we actually run in-person stuff. So we've shifted. So when I started this business, I found an online course. I was working at this fishing lodge, and that gig was tough. I'd work early mornings, I'd work late nights, and then the middle of the day was just open, kind of waiting for the guests to do their thing and come back and then take care of them. And I found an online course, took an online course, learned that you could make money online teaching things that you knew about. And I'm like, well, I know a lot of things. I don't know that anyone wants to know them from me. But kind of took the leap into understanding how to package my knowledge and give it to others, and landed in the community space, building online community. I used to teach Facebook group strategy, essentially. But really, was it Facebook group strategy? No, it was teaching somebody to show up with a message and learn how to speak. And so it evolved into a coaching program. Loved that. It was great, but it wasn't the right breadcrumb for me to follow, which is where I ended up in the fishing space. It all started with fishing. I just veered away from it for a while and have come back to it. But I think financially, there's ebbs and flows, especially when you start a business, build it up. I did pretty well with the Facebook thing, pretty dang well. And then I blew it up because I knew it wasn't in alignment with who I am and who I'm meant to be outside. I'm just meant to be there and not behind a screen 24/7. And that's where I found myself. And it was hard to blow it up because I did feel like I was letting a lot of people down, including people that worked with me and my clients. And I can see I am literally just on the other side of this because the final piece of that puzzle has disappeared a month ago for me. And it was splitting my attention and splitting my focus and stressing me out. And this is the first full month where I have focused on the job of my dreams. And it has not been easy. And I am having so much effing fun. It is a blast. And I think if I could give anybody a word of encouragement, your intuition, it's telling you, it's screaming at you to listen to it when something's off. And it's really hard to when you look at the, I guess, practicality of life, if that makes sense. Like you don't want to quit. You justify why you have to do the thing. But if you continue to do those same patterns, it's just gonna take longer for you to get to where you're meant to go.
Yeah,
I don't know how I ended up
100%.
there, but that's how I ended up there.
No, but the intuition thing is a great point too, because it's not just relevant to if you're a current entrepreneur and you have an idea and you're not sure if you should flush it out, anything. But like people trust your intuition a little more than
Yeah.
what you do. You might be in a bad relationship. You might be, whatever the case may be. Yeah, listen to it a little more. Um, that's that's what I would say. And you know, is it wrong sometimes? Sure, but I don't know. Anytime I've had a weird feeling about, a relationship in the past, it turned out to be pretty goddamn right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Amber, how about you?
I think
Like
that when,
getting into your business, was it taxing financially or it was just a different situation?
well, I was at that time, right before COVID hit, I was finishing university. I was struggling financially. Actually, I had to leave the city of where I was studying and had to do my internship back home because I couldn't afford to keep paying the apartment where I was living in, like the room that I was renting. And yeah, that was a very dark moment for me. I really struggled a lot financially in that moment because I was working teaching English to kids there in that city. And it was like, okay, I was able to get into making some money and then to cover my expenses. Like, I didn't want to have to ask my parents for more money like anymore. I was already 23, I think. And I was like, okay, I need to figure this out by myself. So I was struggling a lot. I know that my mom and my dad, they will probably be like, okay, we will help you if they could. I don't know because I didn't ask. But I was like, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep like having to ask people for help. I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to continue doing that. So I was in my like in me inside of me, I really needed to find a way to like I need to be independent in this sense, financially independent. So well, I went back home to my mom's house. That doesn't sound exciting because you could just ask for her help and then continue living here. But in my mind, it was better to just go back home. So that's what I did. I spent in my hometown for 6 months. I worked there during that time. I did my internship, and then I returned to finish my like finally getting my degree and all of that. And then like a few let's say a few weeks when I returned that I was doing all of my paperwork for university and stuff like that, a friend of mine called me about an opportunity to teach Spanish online. And then I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. I already have experience teaching English in person, but I could like change that into online. Why not? Actually, I did have an English student. He was living in Ecuador at the time, and I was teaching him English online too. So I was like, okay, I can do this, but Spanish instead of English. So yeah, that opportunity came in, and literally I started like 1 week before COVID hit. So I was like learning how to do the system, start doing this whole thing. COVID arrived. I didn't get my degree. I couldn't graduate. That was a whole shit show for for me during that year. It was so bad. But then yeah, that job that I was doing teaching Spanish, that was the one that opened so many doors for me.
Mm.
So I always say that COVID for me was a huge blessing, and I'm so sorry for all the people that it was like the worst time ever for them, because I know that many people struggle. And in my family, we lost people because of COVID, and that was hard. But in this other part, like financially, like getting a job, becoming more financially stable, it helped a lot. I got so many students from Spanish in that platform with that company that I was working with, and then like almost a whole year doing that. And yes, I was receiving a very nice amount of money that I was really not making before. So yeah, that really like saved my life, in the sense that I was finally able just to feel more at peace with everything that was going on, because I was being productive. I was also helping my family with that. So it was just not me, it was them too, and my partner at the time. So we were better like than we were before. So that was a very huge blessing. And well, many other things happened. Then I was not teaching Spanish anymore. I was helping another friend with some Spanish curriculum and activities and stuff online, because he also wanted to teach Spanish and help other people to do the same. So we like partnered there, and he was, yeah, he like hired me to do that like heavy lifting for him. And I did that for almost like a year and a half before I started looking into BA services. Because yeah, Spanish was fun, but like at some point it was like, okay, I don't want to keep doing this. So like, this is something funny. My mom, she's not like a teacher, but she has studied a lot of teaching, and she was a teacher at some point in her life. And she helps little kids with teaching problems, like learning problems, actually, because they have some mental issues or something. So yeah, my mom's amazing at teaching kids and helping them with this is type of stuff. And she has the teaching genes. I don't. And I always said that I didn't want to do what she was doing. I didn't want to teach people. That was not what I wanted to do with my life. And that's what I ended up doing. And that was like the main door that actually opened many other doors for me and for my business and for my personal growth as well. So yeah, it's funny. I always say like, okay, teaching was like, it was my gateway into doing the things that I actually enjoy. Because what I do now, helping others with the tasks and the things that they need, that's something that fire me off. Like, it's funny when people say like, but you have to like a checklist, and you have no. I love that. I love my checklist, and I love seeing that little things go off like this done,
Scott,
this
he's like,
done, this done.
no.
Yes, I know. But I love that for some reason. This like organization thing inside of me, that's what I love, and not teaching. But yeah, teaching was the one thing that really, really helped me.
I think
Morgan
Amber
and
and I
Jamie
are
know me
both
too well.
Amber and I are both very type A. I think Scott and Jamie are a little bit more type B. I think Jamie's kind of a
Type
mix.
B.
Jamie, I think you're like a mix depending on the environment. Scott is definitely type B.
So I know some of us have to run here. We're getting short on time for this episode, but real quickly around the horn, like as you've heard from some of us, or kind of all of us, like entrepreneurship's not just like all
Ponies and rainbows.
Yeah, thank you.
Rainbows and butterflies.
So real quickly, like 20 seconds, start with Jamie. What's been the hardest part? And like what's the emotional side of that?
Believing that I'm good enough. 100%. And I think that is something that I still battle and will battle for a long time, is like, I really want people, if they invest with me, to feel like they're getting the best deal ever. And I'm never good enough in my own mind. And so I think, yeah, that's the biggest emotional hurdle that I have to overcome consistently. I don't have an answer of how to, because I'm still working through that.
No, I mean, that's real. I'll shoot to Morgan.
Ask the question again. Sorry, I got caught on Jamie's like, yeah, it resonates. I was
Yeah, but like, what's the biggest struggle emotionally as an entrepreneur?
I honestly think the hardest in the beginning, and it still creeps in, even though I'm really good with boundaries, is really trying to find the boundary between doing what I love every single day and not letting it seep too much and be the only thing that I talk about in my personal life. There's
Mhm.
there's just so much that ebbs and flows that when I talk about it all the time, I never want people to be bored about it. I could talk about it forever. So for me, it's trying to find, when do I bring it in? When do I share who I am in that portion of my life? And when do I don't? And there is another part of who I am than my business. And I think sometimes I get caught in that's my only identity sometimes.
Amber, how about you? What's been the biggest struggle emotionally?
I think I resonate the most with Jamie's answer because this is where the self-confidence thing comes into, again, what I was talking earlier, like to really feel and to really accept and like, yes, I am good enough, and yes, I can
Mhm.
do these things. And it's not bad to want people to know about them, because I think that I want to keep cornering and keeping myself in my little cave, and I don't want people to see the things. I have so many things to show, so many things that can help other people, so I have to continue growing this confidence and try not to feel, I don't know, ashamed, because sometimes like I feel ashamed for some reason, and that's something that I'm still working on. Like, why do I feel ashamed of whatever I'm thinking or is happening? So yeah, I think that's the biggest struggle for me still, and something that I definitely want to keep working on, because I know that I have so many things that can help others to be also successful and achieve their own potentials as well.
How about you, Scott?
Kind of a mix of all three. You know, I struggled for years with what I would call, um, you know, imposter syndrome, right? Um, but also to Morgan's point, how do you switch it off?
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy cutting it up with you guys, um, and talking this kind of stuff. But then it's like you talk to somebody in person, and I really probably struggle a lot more than what you three, the guys there that you three have met and know. I probably struggle more than you would ever realize to just carry on a normal conversation with somebody. Like, I don't even know what is a normal conversation? Is it talking about the weather? Is it
What's
talking about,
normal?
like, to me, like, that stuff doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Yes.
why are you going to talk about the weather? Why are you going to talk about some person? Like, let's discuss ideas. Let's discuss anything else. Like, what's going on in your career? Like, what's going on in Maplewood Suites? Like, those sort of things. So I don't know. In some respects, I still think I'm a terrible conversationalist, um, because of that, which is kind of weird to be on a talk show or a podcast and be a bad conversationalist. At least it's what I think. Um, but yeah, definitely, am I doing the right thing? Am I, you know, holding up my end of the bargain kind of thing? Are these smart moves for my family, for my children, for the people around me? Yeah. Again, I don't have the answers yet, but I don't know how we nicely wrap this up. I know what I would say. Morgan, Jamie, Amber, help me out a little bit. So if people found value in today's call, how do they follow us?
Hit
So
subscribe.
you got to hit subscribe, drop in the comments, let us know your biggest insight from today.
Or
and
question.
or
Or topic.
question.
Just, give us
Anything.
your
We'll
thoughts.
talk about it all. We'll talk about it all. And then look for our next episode where we are going to try to go live, but it is the shit show. So we may or may not make that happen. But if
We
we
will
can't,
make it happen.
we will get the recording up. So yeah, anything, questions, things you want us to talk about, riff about, put them in the comments and we'll cover them in our next episode.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
I think we take some time for that. I think the four of us, we talked about a lot of stuff today. There's probably something we could deep dive more on our next episode, but look forward to the fan comments too.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you, everybody.
Until next time.
Thank you.
See you next
See
time.
y'all. Thank
See
y'all.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.